Archduke Franz Ferdinand was born on December 18, 1863 in Graz, Austria. His father was Karl Ludwig, brother of the Austrian Emperor Franz Joseph I, and his mother was Maria Annunciata. Franz Ferdinand was raised as the heir apparent of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and received a serious education from a young age. His childhood was largely spent at Artstetten Castle, the family estate. He grew up in a family that traveled frequently due to his father's duties, so he had the opportunity to meet different cultures and people at an early age. History, language, and military subjects were given great importance in his education. Franz Ferdinand was fluent in several languages including Italian, Czech, and Hungarian. After the death of his father Karl Ludwig, Franz Ferdinand became the third in line to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. During his studies, he also focused on his military career and served in various ranks in the Austrian army. During this period, he also developed a close connection with the natural world, often hunting and traveling in nature. His childhood was a time when Franz Ferdinand's character was shaped and laid the foundation for his future political and military career. The strict and disciplined nature of his family contributed to Franz Ferdinand's serious and determined personality. Franz Ferdinand's teenage years were more active and eventful than his childhood. He started to receive serious military training from his teenage years and rose rapidly in the Austrian army. As a young man, he led a disciplined life in line with the expectations of his family and the empire. With the tragic death of his cousin Crown Prince Rudolf in 1889, Franz Ferdinand became the direct heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This event marked a major change in the life of the young Franz Ferdinand. He now had to assume more responsibility as the future leader of the empire. During his teenage years, Franz Ferdinand traveled often. He traveled to various parts of Europe and got to know different cultures. During these travels, especially in England and Scotland, he was interested in hunting and extreme sports. These hobbies gave him both physical endurance and the ability to think strategically. Franz Ferdinand also struggled with various illnesses in his youth. His poor health led to frequent treatment and long periods of rest. This led to his occasional absence from imperial duties. In 1894, during a social event in Bohemia, he met his future wife, Countess Sophie Chotek. However, as Sophie did not come from a noble family, their relationship was initially met with great backlash. Nevertheless, they continued their love in secret and eventually married in 1900s with the permission of the emperor. This marriage was one of the most important turning points of Franz Ferdinand's youth. During his teenage years, Franz Ferdinand became increasingly interested in political and social reforms within the empire. In the future, he planned to play a more active role in modernizing the Habsburg Empire and dealing with nationalist movements. In the process, he studied intensively and honed his strategic thinking skills to prepare for his future leadership role. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie were assassinated while visiting Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. The assassination was organized by the Black Hand, a Serbian nationalist group, and the assassins included Gavrilo Princip. This was a critical turning point that led to the outbreak of the First World War. Franz Ferdinand and Sophie arrived in Sarajevo to attend a series of official events in the city. In the morning, as the couple drove through the city in convoy, an assassin named Nedeljko Kabrinović threw a grenade at Franz Ferdinand's car. However, the bomb missed its target and fell into the back of the car, injuring several people. Franz Ferdinand and Sophie escaped unhurt. The couple wanted to continue their program and decided to visit a hospital in the afternoon. However, due to misinformation and changes in the convoy's route, their car entered the street where Gavrilo Princip was waiting. When Princip noticed the car, he seized the opportunity and fired at close range, hitting both Franz Ferdinand and Sophie. Franz Ferdinand was shot in the neck and Sophie in the abdomen. Both died shortly afterwards. After the assassination, the bodies of Franz Ferdinand and Sophie were taken to Vienna, where they were buried with great state honors. The assassination led the Austro-Hungarian Empire to declare war on Serbia. Other major European powers then joined the war, and the First World War broke out. The assassination not only ended the lives of Franz Ferdinand and Sophie, but also sparked a major conflict that affected the lives of millions of people. One can speculate about how the course of history would have changed had Franz Ferdinand not been assassinated. However, it is difficult to predict definite outcomes. Possible scenarios could be the following. 1. Delay or prevention of the First World War. Franz Ferdinand's assassination led to the Austro-Hungarian Empire declaring war on Serbia and the outbreak of the First World War. If the assassination had not taken place, the chain of events that triggered this war might not have started. However, because of the already high nationalist tensions, militarism, and alliances in Europe at the time, another event could have triggered the war. So the total prevention of war is not guaranteed, but at least it could have been delayed. 2. Reforms in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Franz Ferdinand intended to reform the Austro-Hungarian Empire. In particular, he planned to increase the autonomy of different ethnic groups by transforming the empire into a more federal structure. These reforms could alleviate nationalist tensions within the empire and help the empire to remain more stable. This could have significantly changed the political map of Central Europe. 3. The Ottoman Empire and the Middle East. The First World War led to the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and the drawing of the current borders of the Middle East. Delaying or preventing the war could have led to a longer survival of the Ottoman Empire and a different drawing of the borders in the Middle East. 4. The rise of the United States of America. The First World War accelerated the rise of the United States as a global power. The absence or delay of the war could have changed the role of the United States in this process and its place on the world stage. 5. The Second World War did not happen or happened differently. The First World War led to the severe punishment and economic collapse of Germany, which paved the way for the rise of Adolf Hitler and the start of the Second World War. The absence of Franz Ferdinand's assassination could have changed this chain of events and perhaps led to the Second World War not starting at all or happening differently. 6. Russia and the Communist Revolution. The First World War triggered the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia and led to the creation of the Soviet Union. The absence of war could have led to a different process of political development in Russia and prevented the Communist Revolution from taking place. These scenarios only reflect possibilities. Franz Ferdinand's non-assassination would certainly have changed the course of history, but it is impossible to know exactly how and to what extent these changes would have occurred.